Anyone who ever said that entering into the business of mass-producing automobiles was simple was either a fool, deluded, or most likely both. Lucid Motors CEO and Chief Technology Officer Peter Rawlinson was well aware of this. After a long and difficult journey to get to this point, he and his team are now proud to announce that the first Lucid Air models destined for customers are already rolling off an Arizona assembly line. They had a long way to go before they could complete the shift from being a battery technology business to being an electric vehicle manufacturer, despite having several running prototypes by late 2016. The topic of today's video is the rebranding of Atieva to Lucid Motors, followed by the Lucid Group buying back Atieva shares and the rationale for this repurchase. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back to New Vehicle Media, your go-to channel for EV stock. Quick reminder that subscribing's free and liking the video helps YouTube suggest similar content. Comments are loved, and we feature them in upcoming videos. Lucid Motors was previously known by the name Atieva, which was created in 2007 and headquartered in Newark, California, close to Silicon Valley. Atieva was primarily concerned with the development of batteries and electric powertrains for the benefit of other automobile manufacturers. Eventually, it had amassed more than 50 patents relating to its fundamental battery system, all of which were in the United States. By 2013, the business had established itself as a very capable manufacturer of integrated battery packs and electric powertrains, and it had begun to entertain the notion of manufacturing its own automobile. When Peter Rawlinson joined the team as Chief Technology Officer, it was a watershed moment, because Peter previously served as the Vice President of Vehicle Engineering and the Chief Engineer of the Model S at Tesla, and brought with him substantial expertise, and that is precisely what they wanted. Lucid received a 9-figure round of funding in 2014 to construct its own full vehicle from the ground up. Venrock, Mitsui, and Jafco were among the corporations who contributed to this fund, and all of them are still active investors today. The Atieva team subsequently developed a special powertrain test car with 900 horsepower. Its body remained unremarkable, yet it was capable of reaching 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds and having a driving range that far exceeds today's range constraints. After announcing its intention to rebrand itself as Lucid Motors in October 2016, the firm successfully did so. Apart from that, the emerging automobile manufacturer declared intentions to build an all-electric luxury vehicle. An announcement was made a month later by Lucid executives who were joined by state authorities from Arizona, stating intentions for the automaker to break construction in Casa Grande on a $700 million, 590-acre purpose-built plant, the first of its kind in North America. Stock repurchase. On April 2, 2021, Atieva purchased shares of Series E preferred stock from the individual sellers in order to fulfill certain tax obligations, along with tax withholding financial commitments owed by the company incurred in connection with the purchase by the individual sellers of shares of Series E preferred stock from Atieva. The funds received upon completion of the repurchases were employed toward remitting required tax withholding to the appropriate United States federal and state taxing jurisdictions. In a recent transaction, Lucid repurchased company shares from Atieva owners. Class A common stock from former directors and employees of Atieva was repurchased by Lucid Group on October 8, 2021 for $857,825 in total. Repurchasing is the term used to describe such operations. A total of $24.15 per share was paid for the repurchases, which corresponded to the average closing price of the company's Class A common stock on the NASDAQ Global Select Market for the 3 trading day periods ending on and including October 6, 2021, which was the second trading day before the date of the purchases. The repurchases were carried out as a result of voluntary individualized bilateral negotiations with each of the individual sellers prior to the repurchases. Peter Rawlinson was among those who sold shares to the company. He sold 178,796 shares, which the business bought back. Eric Bach, Senior Vice President of Product and Chief Engineer, sold 195,557 shares to the company. A total of 33,526 shares were received from Michael Bell and Tony Posawatz, with Tony selling 14,511 of those shares. With regard to the repurchase agreements and repurchases themselves, both the audit committee and the board of directors granted their approval. After the repurchases were approved by the board of directors, they were granted a further exemption from application of Article 5, Section 5.04 of the company's amended and restated bylaws, which would have prevented the repurchases from being subject to a restriction on transfer of shares of the company's Class A common stock that were acquired in exchange for the shares of Atieva until January 19, 2022. The conclusion: a share repurchase is regarded as beneficial at times because it reduces the total assets of the company, allowing the company's return on assets, return on equity, and other measures to improve when compared to the company's performance if the shares were not repurchased. When the number of shares of a company is reduced, earnings per share, revenue, and cash flow all expand more rapidly, which we could see come into play in the near future. Share repurchases, on the other hand, sometimes send a negative signal to the public, implying that the company has a large amount of liquid capital and is not making any opportunistic investments. With Lucid, however, this is not the case, because the company is significantly investing in expansion. As stated on the form, the buyback was purely for the purpose of satisfying the individual's tax liability and the company's withholding tax. Because, as per the laws of taxation, the capital gain that you receive from owning a share is not taxed until the shares are sold. Indeed, one of the reasons Lucid purchased shares from Atieva may have been to ensure that individuals were in compliance with their tax responsibilities at the time of transaction. In the case of Peter Rawlinson, the founder and CEO of Lucid Motors, the journey to bring the Lucid Air to fruition has been a long and unusual one, to say the least. Atieva was the best at what they did, and they intended to expand their reach by developing an electric vehicle using proprietary technology, which is just what they did. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Do you believe that the repurchase was carried out solely to satisfy a tax obligation? Also, were you surprised to hear that the company's former name is still required to contribute to the running of the new company? I know I was. Let us know what you think by leaving a comment down below. Speaking of Lucid expansion programs, we just released a video highlighting the company's plans to extend its vehicle lineup. Killer Ninja responded by noting that he's looking forward to the Project Gravity by Lucid and that he would not be surprised if the SUV could travel 520 miles on a single charge, given the fact that they're constantly improving their tech. I'd agree with him. This is the second time Ninja's been featured in a video. It's great to have you around. That should wrap things up for today. Keep in mind that subscribing's still free and liking helps YouTube recognize your preferences. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.